Thank you, Lee. Serial entrepreneur, not that I'm in the cereal business, but I do have a number of businesses on the go at the same time. Presently, I'm on my 14th business. I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but I thought I'd share that anyway. So the human CEO, I'm using an acronym, CEO, to represent a number of items. C for courage, E for engagement, and O for organizational skills. The C for courage, I think we all understand, is the ability to face the fear, to feel the fear, and continue on with whatever we need to do. And I think history has proven that, and our representation of ourselves, we feel the fear on a regular basis. I know a couple of speakers did a great presentation already on some of that stuff. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the fight and flight mechanism that is already built into us. And I also want to talk a little bit around goal setting with the courage. So the day-to-day operations of us in business and in life, we have to face a lot of difficult conversations. We have to face a lot of difficult situations. And most of us have the ability to have those conversations one way, which is the habit that we've built over time, some of it from learning from our past experiences, from our past mentors, and just the experience that we've had. But the one thing I wanted to ask everyone here was, what was the number one thing that was holding you or is holding you back in your life? And I think that would attribute to allow you to set some goals, which would be to overcome that one thing that is holding you back. The big question, and my esteemed colleague Kay said it's real easy to do, to write that down, but sometimes it's not that easy to know what the one big thing that is holding you back. And that leads to the second part of courage, and that is something that we face every day as well, which is called self-deception. Self-deception is the piece that we know there's a problem, we feel there's a problem, but we don't quite know what the problem is. Or we know there's a solution out there that would help us get to the next level, but we don't quite know what the solution is. Most of the time, the problem is actually us and not anyone else and not any other external situation. So self-reflection is a big piece of courage as well. So if you could get to the self-reflection, and a lot of the times you need some assistance from others, from a mentor, from a friend, from a family member, and sometimes people need professional help as well to get to the point where they can actually see what's holding them back, because we are blind many times on what is actually causing us grief or holding us back. The fear comes in many ways, but the two main ways are flight and fight. And Leah talked a little bit about that with her husband. I'm not going to get into it too much detail, but I'm sure we've all experienced those situations many times at home and certainly at work on a regular basis, depending on the actual amount of interactivity that we have with others. The main topic of today, though, I was going to focus on engagement, and then I'll touch lightly again on organizational skills. But engagement is a huge piece of what gets us going every day, or doesn't get us going every day. It is one of the things that is holding us back, or it is one of the things that allows us to excel at our job. My definition of engagement is being present to the task and performing it with all of the positive energy that you can muster. And it's a bit of a stretch to think that you can bring positive energy to every moment of your life, but it is possible. There are people doing it. Sometimes you have to sharpen the saw, as Stephen Covey says, but even sharpening the saw, you can bring the sharpening with as much muster as you can bring forth. So I've got a couple of stories to talk about engagement. One of them is a story about my wife. Love her lots, but she says she's not a morning person. So every morning we have 3 children that have to get off to school, and we've decided mutually that it is going to be her role to get the children off, because I like to go into work around 6:30, and the bus doesn't come till about 7:38. So really I sneak off to work because it's easier. But But she has taken on that role, and she's been doing it now for about 9 years. But every morning, it's a struggle. She sets the alarm, 6:50, hits the snooze at 7 o'clock, hits the snooze at 7:10, rolls out of bed, bleary-eyed, walks downstairs, makes some coffee, goes and battles with the children to get them up, and it's a struggle. So the weekend rolls around, the alarm goes off, there is no snooze, it's 10 o'clock, and she's rolling out of bed, and again, wiping the sleep out of her eyes and walking around in her pajamas for another hour, waiting for the first or second or third coffee to really wake up. So, but 2 or 3 times a year when we go on family trips, which she really enjoys, sometimes we go to Cape Breton for Thanksgiving or we go to PEI for a week, and we have to make an early morning start. Well, she's up at 4:30 in the morning, banging on doors, already showered. She's had her third coffee. She's got a big breakfast on the table. The car's loaded up, and we're ready to roll to Cape Breton at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm thinking, what happened to the excuse of, I'm not a morning person? Well, this is different, and this is different, and this is different. But really, it's the engagement in the role, the engagement in the activity that makes a difference in the amount of energy that you can bring to what you're actually trying to do. One more story about engagement, and it's more of a business story. Recently, I've just left a business, sold it, but during the growth of that operation, we had 4 sales reps on staff. We were introducing a new product, which was what we would call an upsell. So after we made an initial sale to a customer at the point of sale, we would then ask them, would you like to also have this product? Sort of like adding French fries to your Big Mac or upsizing you to the full meal deal. So we had some real difficulty introducing the product to the clients. Everyone that actually got the message seemed to like the opportunity to upsize or to get the fries with the Big Mac. But the sales reps statistically weren't really presenting the numbers or the opportunity to all of the customers, even though most of the ones that have done it actually found out that the customer is very interested in the product. They love to have fries with the Big Mac. So statistically, they were doing about 30%, and I wish I had a graph for all those people that love to see the numbers on graph form, but I do not. But we found out that only 30% of the conversations actually got presented the opportunity to purchase. And 10 out of those 30 purchased. It was a $1,000 product. So $10,000 a month per salesperson was actually happening if they had 30 conversations with people. And our top 2 salespeople were doing that, even though they had an opportunity to have a conversation with 100 people a month. So we sat down in a sales meeting and went through and presented the statistics, and we had the whiteboard, and everyone sort of gave their reasons why they weren't presenting it. They weren't comfortable at the time. They didn't really believe in the product, or they didn't like it enough, or they didn't think they could bother the customer with the next opportunity. It was too much work. They were too busy during the day. They had too many things to do. There were so many excuses. My belief was they weren't engaged in that selling process enough. So I sat back, listened to all the excuses, took over the whiteboard for a little moment, and said, what if we sold 100 of these? What if we closed 100% of these? What would it do for the company? And everybody sort of projected forward and thought about the numbers, and it would really grow the company to the next level. And that was my goal, and I believe that was their goal as well. So I turned the tables a little bit and said, what if you had 100 conversations with 100 people that you had the opportunity to have that conversation with? Would that be too much of a stretch to ask? And they sort of hummed and hawed and said, possibly we could, maybe if we could, and blah, blah, blah. So I still didn't quite have them. So I said, what would be your closing ratio on average? It's about 33, 35%. What if you sold 35 because you had 100 conversations? And they said, well, you know, maybe that would hold true, maybe not. We may be able to sell 35 a month each, which was, in our situation, a huge growth per month. It meant close to $1 million. And it was all profit because it was a CD product that we could reproduce for very cheaply. It was Great content, but it was an intellectual property piece. So I turned it a little bit more to really get them engaged, and I asked them, what if I gave you the first 35 sales per month? What if? How many do you think you could sell? And every one of them around the table said, I can guarantee you if you give me that $35,000 a month, I'll sell 35. No questions asked. I may even be able to sell 50. So we sat down again and I said, well, now you're engaged. How come the $35,000 makes such a difference to you? Even though part of your role as a sales rep is to present the product in a professional manner to help facilitate the sale, to help grow the business. And they sat there for at least 5 minutes, and you could see the wheels turning and the wheels turning and the wheels turning. And in about a month later, we were up to presenting nearly 100% of every one of those conversations. And I didn't have to give them the $35,000 profit. So it worked out well. The organizational strategy, the organizational piece of my CEO theory, is that seeking true mastery of the skills you need to perform the role you choose to play. So if you want to be a public speaker, and you want to be a master public speaker so that you can command high rates, amaze audiences such as yourself, and feel the prestige of being successful at your chosen profession, you have to set a goal, decide to do it, and do it. Walk the walk and talk the talk. So there is a theory around that it will probably take you 10,000 hours to be a master. And it's been proven in golf and music and business and almost everything. If you look back at someone who you now see as a spectacular person and as an amazing presenter, they've probably spent up to or close to 10,000 hours doing the work. The way you get there, I guess, and I'll just sort of fill out the rest of some of the other previous speakers. Nowadays, with the technology that is available, if you want to know how to be a master presenter and you want to do research on how the best presenters in the world do the things they do and how they got to where they are now, go to Google. It's all there. It's all free. It's all at your fingertips. If you know your goal, you can actually find a role model that you can model after, and almost everywhere somebody has commented on almost every one of their steps on how they got there. So if you need to know how to get to where you want to go, just Google it. Google takes a little bit of tweaking to find out the exact questions and answers, but the information is out there for free. The difficulty in our profession of public speaking is that being an amazing public speaker doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a successful public speaker, because there is a whole business side to it. So my recommendations to public speakers is choose which piece you're going to focus on to be amazing at, put in your time, put in your effort, do the research, practice, get your 10,000 hours, and outsource the rest. And I think I know a couple of people who have either brought on employees or have outsourced their marketing or outsourced their sales because they don't feel really comfortable or they're not really good at that. And I would say you just haven't put in your 10,000 hours or you haven't done your research to start down that path. But if you really want to be an amazing public speaker, you do have to put in the time and put in the effort. The human part of the human CEO is that we all have chosen to play roles, either to be a public speaker, to be a business owner, to be a serial magnet. We all need to generate positive energy with your mind and your body so that there is no feeling of fear and success will follow. Thank you.